So I am out here today direct sowing a lot of different types of seeds, such as Cosmos and Dara, but the two that I wanted to focus on for this video specifically to share were my zinnias and my sunflowers. Now, zinnias and sunflowers are going to be a couple of the main flowers that I'm growing for my cut flower market bouquets, because they are, one, great for bouquets, but secondly, I have grown both of those for years and I know that they grow incredibly well for me. Now my zinnias, I'm planting all of those today, and my sunflowers I am succession planting. So I'll show you my process for both. First I'm going to go over my zinnia seeds, and can you see all the kinds I'm planting? I think there's 19 kinds here, which may be excessive, but zinnias grow so well, and all of these are completely different colors, so I have to plant them all, right? So let me show you where the zinnias are going and my process for planting them first, then I'll show you the sunflowers. Okay, so this is the bed where all of my zinnias are going, and this is the same spot that they were all planted last year. They grew so well. The only problem that I had was at the end of the season, they took on some powdery mildew, and I had them planted quite close. And so this year, I'm gonna spread them out just a little bit. I'm gonna plant the plants 9 inches apart instead of, I think last year I had them 5 or 6 inches together. So I'm gonna spread them out a little more, and hopefully I can avoid that. Now, I'm planting all of my zinnias at once and not succession sowing them because I know that I don't need to. Zinnias are what you call cut and come again flowers. And so once the zinnias start blooming and you start harvesting the blooms, they just continually will put on more blooms. The more you cut, the more they bloom. So I know that I will get zinnias pretty much until we get frost. Okay, so I measured my grow space for where I'm putting my zinnias, and I figured if I put each row 9 inches apart, I can get 28 rows of zinnias in. And then so I'm putting them 9 inches apart this way and 9 inches apart this way. So I'll have 28 rows across, and I can get 3 to 4 rows deep depending on where they are. 3 in this space where my door is. This is a background that I use for my photography studio. So I'll have 3 rows of zinnias here, and then 4 rows where this door is not. And since I have 19 different kinds of zinnias, that means some of them I'll plant just 1 row of, and some of them I'll plant 2 rows of. And I know that there's a few that I may not like as well as others, and so those are the ones that I'll just do 1 row of. So let me get these all laid out, and then I'll show you how I'm keeping my rows straight and how everything is going to be spaced. Okay, so all of my zinnias are laid out. I have all of the seed packets spaced at 9 inches apart. Obviously I could not do it this way if it was windy, but I thought this was probably the easiest way to lay them out. So I have spacers in between where some of them are going to get 2 rows, and then a lot of them are just going to be single rows. And 3 to 5 plants for a color of zinnia doesn't seem like very much, but zinnias really branch out, and so you actually get a lot of blooms per plant. So I'm going to take this landscape fabric up so this entire area is planting space, and I'm going to start planting, and then I'll move on to the sunflowers. I should also mention that zinnias typically start blooming in about 60 days, so mid-July I should have a ton of zinnias for the market. Okay, so all of my zinnias in the ground. I ended up with 28 rows this way, just as planned, and then this way I ended up with about 4 plants in front of this door and 5 to 6 where the areas are not in front of the door. Now I planted 2 to 3 seeds per spot, and once they rise up out of the ground, I'll thin them to just 1 plant. And I should also mention that the reason I am growing 19 varieties of zinnias is I want to test them out. My goal this year is to find favorites that I would like to use from year to year. So next year I'll probably cut it in half and plant double of half of the varieties. Okay, so now that the zinnias are planted, I want to hop over to the sunflower bed and show you my process for planting my sunflowers. I'm growing all pro-cut sunflowers this year, and I'm succession planting those. So I have a planting plan that will span over the course of about a month and a half, so let me share that with you. Okay, so I am over next to the bed where my sunflowers are getting planted. I've grown sunflowers here the last couple years. They grow really great, so I'm sticking with it and putting them here again this year. Now this is the hottest part of my garden. It's on the south side of my metal building, so it gets really hot against here during the day in the summer, and so this is a really good spot for sunflowers. They can pretty much grow anywhere. So this particular bed is about 5.5 feet deep and 21 feet long. And sunflowers, I'm planting a little bit different than my zinnias. I'm going to be planting them closer because the closer you plant your sunflowers, the smaller the head is on the sunflowers. And I want them relatively small to put into my market bouquets. So I'm going to space them at 6 inches apart. I'm also going to be succession planting my sunflowers because sunflowers are one and done flowers. So I don't want all of them at once. I want to spread them out over the course of the summer. And so I think what I'm going to do is divide them into 6 different plantings. So let me do my math really quick here. Get my calculator out. So if I have 5.5 feet, so I can plant about 10 sunflowers this way and 42 rows this way. So that gives me 420 sunflowers for the summer, which I think is a really good amount. Now, it'll be a few less than that because I have some bachelor buttons coming up here and a couple big hollyhock plants. These are doing so good right now. I don't really want to move those, so I'm just going to plant around them. Okay, so if I can get 42 rows out of here and I want to do 6 different plantings, which I will probably end up doing those about 10 days apart, I'm going to plant 7 rows during each planting. Now I think I'm going to adjust that a little bit just because I have a few extra plants in here, so I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to do 6 rows per planting, and then at the end of the season I might just have a few extra. And 2, 3, actually I have 6 different varieties that I'm going to plant today, so that's perfect. So I'll do 10 seeds of each variety today. I do have a few other varieties that I'm planting, such as the Pro Cut Red, but I'm going to save that till a little bit later in the summer because that seems more like a fall sunflower to me. So today I'm going to concentrate on planting the golds, the whites, and the oranges. And I should also mention that I am planting all Pro Cut sunflowers because those are pollenless. The last thing you want in a market bouquet when you send that home with someone from your farmer's market is that they get it home and it drops pollen all over their kitchen table. So I am planting all of the Pro Cut sunflowers this year. So let me get these started and I'll just kind of walk you through how I'm simply going to measure for all of these. Okay, so I have all the sunflowers that I'm planting today laid out, and this is probably the trickiest planting because I have these plants here right in the middle, so I'm not sure that you can see the troughs very well, but I just, according to my tape measure, so I just made a little trough every 6 inches, and then I'm just going to plop the sunflower seed in every 6 inches, cover them up, and water it in. Okay, so I have all 6 varieties planted. Hopefully I see germination in about 7 to 14 days. I'm guessing it'll be sooner in this spot because it gets so hot. I have a feeling these are going to germinate fast and grow fast. And my plan is to plant the next round in about 10 days, and that's how I'll space it out throughout the summer, and I should have my first round of sunflowers mid-July. Okay, so that's it for this video. I would have to guess I have about 80% of my cut flower seedlings and direct sowing seeds in the ground, which is really exciting. I have a little more left to finish up this week. Potatoes and corn are starting to pop up in the garden, and then the pergola build is really taking shape. So watch for a full video on that entire transformation. And then pretty soon I'll be doing an end of May garden tour just to show the progress of everything. So until then, we'll see you soon.